Dr. Podar, everyone seems to think they know what counseling is. What is counseling according to you?
Well, counseling, according to me, is basically understanding the client and their frame of reference, understanding where they come from, understanding, what they view their world as, and then guiding them through their own understanding.
But most people feel that they can get that at home or with their friends and from any other person that they.
Yeah, it's not really quite possible to get any information that's going to be helpful to you from your friends and family. It may be helpful temporarily, but definitely not in the long run, because the idea is that they're not trained, first of all, and secondly, they won't know how to get into your frame of reference and then guide you through your own understanding of how life should be and how you want things to work. So therefore, a trained counselor is able to um, guide you through your own frame of reference to get you to the path or to bridge the gaps that much faster.
Is it also partly because you generally don't know your patients or your clients, as you would call them?
No, it's really not only to do with knowing my patient or my counselor. Or my counselees. But the fact is that most people in families that are counseling you, or assume they're counseling you, are actually talking from their frame of reference, and have actually already labeled you in their heads and believe you're a certain way and have seen you operate in a certain manner. So they give you advice that they think worked for them. And that's the total opposite of what we do in counseling. We never give you advice from our point of view. In fact, we tend not to give you advice. So it works that much more sort of effectively, because the whole idea is then that we guide you to gaining that expert advice from yourself and from your higher self and from your consciousness and your subconsciousness. So we gain that access through you, so that when you make those changes, you're making those changes from your own point of view and from your own frame of reference and from your own capabilities that you have.
Okay, Dr. Podar, what does relationship counseling entail? What does it entail?
Well, in relationship counseling, we're basically focusing on your relationship with others and how you function in those relationships. And the whole idea there being that they're two totally different individuals coming together and trying to live a harmonious life, but there may be differences in the way you view your world and the way your partner views their world. So our idea is to sort of bring that together so that they can be more in sync with each other.
And grief counseling?
Grief counseling is done, of course, when you lose a loved one, whether it may be in death circumstances or a breakup. So we use grief counseling for that purpose. Of course, we have many different types of counseling as well. We do career counseling and education counseling as well, for students as well as for professionals in the work field. The idea there being that most of us take a job because we just get it, and it might not be the best field for us, or may not be the way in which we can express all our different facets. So we tend to look at the individual, look at their expectations of life and career, and bring them together to find the main job, their lifestyle that may be the most appropriate for them to lead a balanced life in the future and basically in the long term.
But how does that have to do with how does a counselor know about the aptitude of a client? I mean, I can understand them giving them stress management in career and education or motivation, but uh, helping them choose a job or an education path, how does a counselor fall into place there?
We have many different tools to help us analyze the client and to give us a sound understanding of really what the client is all about. Once we know that, it's far easier for us, and me being a management consultant has also got an idea of the different types of fields that there are around, and my experience has helped me understand what type of personalities are needed in each field and what would guide you to that. So a lot of that work that we do helps us guide a client to the typical understanding of what their life journey should be. So, as a counselor and as a trained management consultant, it's far easier for me to help a client understand what their role in life really should be.
And suicide intervention, does that come under grief counseling or any other sort of counseling, or is that a separate field
No,
altogether?
suicide
Separate
intervention,
techniques that you use for.
most of my techniques are the same. Because counseling is just counseling, and the way a counselor conducts themselves is basically based on whether the client is reciprocating my conversation or whether the client is a silent client. So depending on what type of client I have 2 or 3 different techniques I use just for that. But in terms of what they're going through, there are a lot of people who've come to me for suicide intervention, or because they are suicidal, and it has been quite a task to help them come back to normalcy. But the methodology is pretty similar to the rest of the counseling that we do. It's only based around the fact that these people feel like they should give up on life because it's an easier method, and the idea is to have them understand and recognize that they're right. It may be easier, but definitely not the best solution for them in the long term.
And how does creative problem solving fall into counseling?
Creative problem solving is a counseling method, but I use it a lot for the workplace as well, or people in sticky situations in their work or even in life, where they haven't been able to come up with a solution despite all the avenues that they've taken. So now with creative problem solving, I actually also bring in a bit of hypnotherapy, and we try to get them out of the frame of reference that they have into a completely different set of rules or of visions, so that then from there we can start developing a structure of what the solution, the most appropriate solution should be. Now the idea is that you can't help solve the problem that your mind has created because you've created it yourself. So the idea is, okay, let's remove you from that that quicksand and take you into a different platform and have you look at it from that avenue. And that we also use techniques such as mind mapping, etc., to gain a larger understanding, or to increase our frame of reference so that we can come up with better solutions all around.
And do you do this for organizations as well?
Yes, I do a lot of counseling and hypnotherapy for organizations. In fact, I've created a new technique which is being patented as we speak, called the HIP technique, which bridges most of the gaps that I see in the workplace as well as in your emotional well-being in the workplace and life in general. So we do use a lot of counseling. In fact, counseling should be used in most organizations. They should have in-house counselors, because just in terms of managing stress and conflict resolutions within the organization, I think we play a major part.
Thank you very much, Dr. Poda.
Thank you so much.